done honest research, I've documented cases, and I have case upon case that shows this, but yet I'm not accepted in here. It's like I'm the most unwanted piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean? It's like they're all trying to put a piece of the puzzle together. But when I come with my piece, they don't want my piece, because my piece is going to change what they think the puzzle is supposed to look like.
Hey yo, there's something in the air, can't you feel it? It's like everything has started to be clear and you can see it. It's so intriguing to observe reality. What do you believe? Would we ever agree? I see a planet that's in question, see reflections of the past, repeated patterns, repetitions. A vision clouded with deception, but we can press into the future, expressing our intentions. We want the truth, not inventions, not demonics or robotics, sent to imitate perceptions. Are aliens holographic or organic? Examine facts, there's no need for a panic. And people say that they'll believe it when they see it. Take me to your leader who controls the spaceship. Tell me what's your origin, I'll know your intentions. What's behind the mask may not be what you're expecting. Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture. Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture. Let's filter out all the frauds and the gimmicks. Exposed to the masses, the masquerades and mimics. We study facts and inspect the clues. Discover hidden links to uncover the truth. Fit it together and collect it. And use the internet to network with like minds connected. It's most effective when we show respect. And where the evidence leads us, it's our direction. We follow patterns with experience. Abductions and UFO sightings have us curious. Is it mysterious coincidence that we have so many sightings without physical evidence? Are we part of an experiment meant to hybridize the human race without us knowing it? Will they accelerate our planet or destroy us and call it evolution advancement? Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture. Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture. We're scientific with analysis. Let's investigate these things, forget about the politics. We want disclosure if that's what you got. We want to separate the actual facts from what's not. Open your minds for a moment and walk the narrow path and find that your eyes will be open. We can see the world in a whole new light. Read between the lines and you'll see that I'm right. What really happened in 1947? Aliens, weather balloons, angels from heaven, eight-dimensional invasion. Now could it be true the Bible's part of the equation? Open our eyes to all the possibilities so we don't get burned by fakes and facsimiles. Common themes are a part of the key, so don't be deceived like Adam and Eve. Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture. Bring us your clues, there's no need to be troubled. Everybody's got a different piece of the puzzle. Let's examine every part of the mixture and try to understand the whole entire picture.
At least be looking at it, you know, not putting the blinders on. You know, if you're so open to doing honest research.
Welcome back, everybody, to Piercing the Cosmic Veil. We're happy to have you back. This is going to be another exciting show. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of my friends are looking forward to it. I know my wife's looking forward to it. You may have seen this young man on a YouTube channel called RFB. Oh, did I say that? Sorry. Maybe on Nicholson 1968. You may have heard some music from this young man. We have Ark from Destiny Lab, and I'm just so thankful that he's put some time aside for us today to tell us a little bit about his musical journey, but more importantly, the journey that led him to Christ, and maybe some of the particulars that came along with that. I came across Destiny Lab with my wife a few years back. Loved the music, loved the message, loved the ministry. in tandem with what we're doing here. I like to call some of these YouTube channels, including ours, the Inner Circle. Some of the ones I wanted to point out were RFB, Richie from Boston. Many of you know you can't find him right now. If you can't, you can find him on BitChute. You can also find him on richiefromboston.tv.com. Nicholson 1968. If you have not checked his YouTube channel, please do that. Ark, our guest here, he'll probably talk a little bit about that and his relationship with Nicholson. Also, some other channels to keep in mind, these are all on YouTube, would be Gon Shimura, who has the Canary Cry podcast, as well as Face Like the Sun, KJ's Scariest Movie Ever, obviously Destiny's Lab, Jason A., which is a great source for news, pure news and only news. Many Fish is another one that we've got, and then Truth Stream Media. You guys, I'm sure, our viewers, I'm sure, are familiar with some of those YouTube channels, but he just kind of fits right in there. And I look at this as we're just a group, but you can call us the body of Christ, but our job here is to just be honest and transparent, let people know what's really going on. Sometimes the rabbit hole goes deep, and we're here to hold your hand through it. So I'm Jason December out of Huntington Beach, California. We've got Joseph Jordan, author of Piercing the Cosmic Veil book. If you haven't got it, get it. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on, just type it in, whatever, you can find it. Obviously, Ark from Destiny's Lab. We've got Lee and Mick Arn from Australia. And I guess at this point, I was going to say one other thing. I think that's it. Joe, can you do me a favor and tell us a little bit about Ark and Destiny Lab, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Sure. This guy, I've been waiting to get face-to-face with him for, what, a decade now? At least.
Yeah. Wow.
We've tried to get you together for our conferences, and someday that's going to happen. But I'll take this opportunity right now. We've done many conferences in Roswell with Guy Malone and the Ancient of Days conferences, and we tried to get you scheduled there to, do some music for us while we're at the conferences. I want to let you know that your music did make it there for the conference in 2008 for us. When I had the opportunity to be the director of the Roswell 2008 UFO Festival Conference there, I had a fellow of mine that I brought with me from Florida when I was still living in Florida, and he did all the music in the auditorium for us. So we had music playing all the time in between the talks. And when it was getting ready for myself to do my talk on Sunday, we were playing, the UFO puzzle in there. So everybody had an opportunity to hear Destiny Lab music, in the auditorium in Roswell, during the UFO festival. So at least we got that opportunity to get the plug in there for you, at that time. So it was awesome. The place was rocking out. It was the Pearson Auditorium. It was the first time anybody had the opportunity to do the festival conference in there. And the place was absolutely huge. They had a 20-foot high by 30-foot wide, screen for the PowerPoints. It was absolutely amazing. And the sound system just rocked in that place. So,
Nice.
I wish you'd have been there to experience it. But, we did, and it was awesome to hear your music in there, So people that have followed my work through the years, I'm sure they're familiar with you. I was honored to have the opportunity. I still have to chuckle at it. My son chuckles at it, to be immortalized in a rap song, the UFO puzzle that you guys put together. That's a blessing to be able to share that, with people. Just a little, I'll give the listeners or the watchers here a little background on you guys before we start in. Destiny Lab's dedicated to creating truth music that asks the listener life-examining questions that demand answers. Their music is made for this day and age and digs deep to help expose people to subjects and information they may not otherwise hear anywhere else. Destiny Lab serves as a link in the chain for others searching for authentic truth and real solutions by investigating many of the spiritual barriers, lies, and deceptions that keep people from finding the answers that they are seeking through Jesus Christ. 1 second. Arkalogix and genetics have been making music together since the mid-90s. In 2004, they were convicted through their own personal journeys and research to officially form Destiny Lab. Their unique music explores many controversial yet important subjects such as the search for God and the nature of our reality, creation versus evolution, demons and angels, ancient history in the Bible, spiritual warfare, transhumanism, eugenics, aliens, UFOs. Come on, computer's not acting right. And others. Arkalogix lyrically integrates years of hardcore research and passion into each and every track, mixing audio clips as evidence, along with grimy beats of genetics, creates a solid presentation that educates a listener and convicts them into wanting to learn more about each of the fascinating subjects being discussed. Destiny's Lab's music can help point a person in the right direction that provides real solid answers and solutions for people seeking the truth in these confusing times. They are driven by their faith in Jesus Christ, who has been preparing them throughout their lives, which you'll hear today through his personal testimony, and has blessed them with a calling to make this unique music. Arkalogix has also created a podcast with his brother Neo called Digging for the Truth with Ark and Neo. This podcast goes even deeper in exploring many of the fascinating subjects discussed with Destiny Lab's music. And we will take it for you and let you tell us about your fascinating testimony. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, such a pleasure, such a blessing to be invited and talk with you face to face, Joe. Like I said, I know we've known each other for well over 10 years. I know I've known about your research since the early 2000s, I think, or maybe even sooner. I can't even remember exactly, but yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I just, it's just a blessing to that it seems like in the last couple of years things have really exploded in these subjects that we've been talking about. So we've been doing this for a while, but it seems like a lot of people are just finally really waking up and asking these questions and investigating these issues. So it's just a great blessing, all in God's timing, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I was blessed that he had called me a young man, because I'm probably far too old to be making rap music, but this is the time where we're at, so it's all good.
It is all good. And hey, everybody that's out there, shift your paradigm. New album, pick it up, you guys. I went through it today, and hey, Ark, fee fi fo fum, the sky is falling. I mean, hey, listen, let's go. Hearing some old school Cypress Hill for all the old timers out there.
Yeah, it's
little influence going on there. Yeah, but no, it's great. It's great. And how you guys put together the videos and all the work that's put in is amazing. I know in reading your bio, I know, like me, I was in doing music most of my life in different bands, but I think you guys started in the 90s fooling around with this, or how did this all get started?
Yeah.
And yeah,
we actually started making music in 1992 together, and just for fun. We never really set out to be professional musicians, either one of us. We were just made music for fun with some different friends, and I grew up in another area where I'd made friends, rap music with some other friends. So it was just like everywhere I ever moved, there was somebody that I met that was really into hip hop and rap, and we just made music for fun. So, but I, having the journey that I went on and all the things that I kind of went through really convicted me to, present this in a unique way, because I wasn't able to try to talk about these subjects to people and they just didn't want to hear it or just kind of go over their head.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, well, you make a song about it, at least they'll maybe listen to a 3-minute song and plant a few seeds here and there or whatever. So,
Hey,
well, I got a question before we get too far past the 90s. We got some commonality way back, I see in your testimony, going way back. How did you get from a deadhead to rap?
Yeah, no doubt. That was part of my prodigal son journey there. I was raised in a Christian home, actually, in a really strong Christian home. But I also was kind of exposed to some really weird things, and I was just into weird things growing up. I was always into the paranormal, Bigfoot, aliens, ever since I was a really young kid. And at a young age, I think I was probably about 12 years old, my brother and I discovered a satanic ritual site not far from our house where some animals had been sacrificed. They were dead. 3 cats were dead, and then another one was duct tape basically to an upside down cross altar. There was all these candles and writing and this red calligraphy. I mean, this had just happened like the night before we found it, because this is right from where our house is, down our driveway. And there's this giant siphon tube basically from a canal that goes into that, and kids would go out there partying or whatever. Well, some Satanists went out there and performed these rituals and killed these cats. And it really exposed me to realizing this stuff's real. There are real Satanists that really kill animals, that really do this evil stuff, even in small towns. Imagine what's really out there. So, it really exposed me to that and wanting to expose those type of things, and because I think a lot of people thought, that stuff's not real, satanic panic, whatever. And I really saw firsthand that this stuff is legit. And then I also was big into aliens and monsters and special effects makeup. So at the age of 15, I started teaching myself how to make masks and prosthetics and sculpting and doing all that kind of stuff. And I moved from a very small town. At the age of 18, I moved to Los Angeles to work in the movie industry. And I wrote in that bio, and I was telling you, in 1990, I worked on a movie. The first movie I ever worked on was called The Lawnmower Man, which exposed me to all of the ideas of transhumanism and this idea of downloading technology into someone into making them like a godlike being, and that this was kind of these ideas that were out there. And anyway, I'll get to rambling here if I don't stop, but there's a lot to the story there. Going to the deadhead, that's what you're asking. I never even got there yet. Sorry. So during that time when I was in California, I went on a prodigal son journey, and I started thinking, even though I was raised a Christian, I wanted to be abducted, because I was making aliens, creating aliens, and I want to see a real alien to see how, so I can make the most realistic alien possible. And I started wanting them to be real, or the good guys type of thing. And I thought, well, maybe, there's good aliens and bad aliens. But then I started investigating all the abduction stories and the firsthand accounts, because I thought, where else to get a better idea of what they look like than to study these firsthand accounts. And I became really frustrated. There was never any real nuts and bolts proof or evidence, first of all. But then I also began to realize these common themes, which was always this anti-Christian theme. First of all, they always wanted to tell you that Jesus isn't God, and that Jesus was just an avatar. Like, that's one of their main themes. And then also that they preached the original sin, that man can become a god, just like the serpent told Eve, if you eat of this fruit, ye shall be as gods, So these things really alarmed me. And it made me go deep down the rabbit hole investigating all these things. And during that time as well, I got investigated with some friends that were deep into the New Age, and I started taking psychedelics. I went to Deadhead concerts, several Deadhead concerts, and New Age gatherings and rainbow type festival events. And at those places, I saw lots of open occult New Age activity, where they were saying these same kinds of messages. Yep. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on here? Like, well, how are these things connected? And that brought me deep into studying kind of like, you know, what is these secret societies, Freemasonry, the occult, all these. And I started to realize like all these things teach the exact same thing. They all in one way or another teach that man can become a god through works or through some sort of inside or secret knowledge, you know, and whether it's Freemasonry, the Kabbalah, Rosicrucianism, Jesuits, Gnostics, it's like all, you know, Mormons, it's literally, or the New Age, it's all Luciferian theosophical doctrine in the end. And so I just became so alarmed at this. And as well, I was studying evolution and how the lie of evolution and eugenics and fed into all these same deceptions. And I just was gobbling up everything I could get my hands on. And I ran across people like Chuck Missler, and I found a book by I.D. Thomas called The Omega Conspiracy. And then, of course, ran across Joe Jordan and the C4's work and all the different fringe Christians that were talking about this and how it connected to the fallen angels and all this stuff. And I thought, I've got to, you know, and then I found out there's this genre called Christian rap. And I thought, well, certainly somebody's talking about this stuff in Christian rap. And I investigated all the Christian rap out there, and I couldn't find anyone talking about evolution or the aliens or anything. And I thought, okay, this is destiny. I've got to do this, you know. And I was, even at that time, old to be starting rap music in 2004. I'm, you know, do the math. I'm 48 now, I'm 49 actually now. So just turned 49 in October. But so yeah, I just thought, man, I feel convicted to do this. We have the internet now. And so I went out and we just started I contacted my friend, Genetics, who I made music with years before, because we hadn't made music in a few years. And I said, I want to start making music again, and I want to do it about this specific subject because it has to be done. And the rest is history, kind of.
Hey, Ark, I got a question for you. Any personal experiences when you're dabbling with drugs or the hanging out with that group? Did you have any personal testimony as far as anything supernatural happening to you, or those things, any oppression or anything along your journey to this point?
Yeah, a couple things. You know, before Genetics and myself started Destiny Lab, both of us saw an orb together. It was like a red orb while we were driving. We were driving out in the country. We came around a corner, and it was about 50 feet to 100 feet in front of us, just like a red orb the size of maybe a volleyball. And it all of a sudden just went straight through the forest, from the road straight through the forest, and lit up all the trees. As you could just see all the trees turn red as it went through the forest. And we were just like pulled over, like, what in the heck is that? You know, and I don't know to this day what it was, whether it was some sort of drone or some sort of technology or some sort of interdimensional entity, or if we were just both, who knows? Yeah. You know,
you know, where you just talked about when you started looking at this, you figured somebody had to have had music about this subject matter, and you went to look for it, and it wasn't there. You know, this is the same testimony that I've got about my work. When the Lord showed me what the truth was here, and I actually had a first couple cases, the first case actually, and I knew it was confirmed after talking to the secular researchers, and they said that they had them also, just weren't sharing them. That's when I immediately went to a Christian bookstore that, you know, and I said, I got to find somebody else's work on this, because somebody had to have done this in the, you know, whole Christian realm. I can't be the first one that's found this. And it wasn't there. The only one I found was Dr. David Allen Lewis, UFO End Time Delusion, who ended up being an early mentor for me. And John Ankerberg had a small section that he had done, you know, but that was it. It just wasn't something that was addressed. And this is right at the same period that you guys came about. So it's like everything culminated right at the same time in history.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. You know, growing up, I went to a Baptist church And one of our early Baptist preachers, he was big about talking about the angelic warfare and how all of this around us is about, the spiritual warfare. Ephesians 6:11, 6:12, where it talks about this is not about battle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, and how important the study of the fallen angels and the angelic conflict is, and how that tied into, the flood. And I had no concept of any of that stuff, but my dad kind of knew about it, and my brother, who is Neo, who I do my podcast with, he is very well versed in all these things as well. We all kind of were very fascinated with these things. And then as well, we grew up in a family that has a Freemasonic background from my mom's side. Her great grandpa and all her great uncles were all Masons, but her dad was not. Her dad kind of stopped the whole lineage of Masonic, but she inherited all this stuff. So I grew up with these Masonic swords and pictures and chinaware and all these symbols and signs all around me kind of growing up. And so all these things it's just kind of weird how all these things kind of were familiar or happened without me, searching for them, but they were part of my journey,
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty incredible
One thing,
story.
one thing, Ark, you said that, at the very start you wanted to, have an alien abduction. And I remember when Lee and myself were doing seminars, people would come up to us and say, oh, I'd just love to have an abduction or a contact. And I always say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
It's something you don't want to dabble with. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody to have an abduction or a contact. It's not where you want to go.
When
I think
when I
was
do my
protected by the Holy Spirit,
Yeah.
when I do my talks, and I also wrote about it in the book, the question that secular researchers are still asking is, why does this happen to some people? And I wrote that, and I tell people that, well, there's 3 reasons it happens to people, and it's either one or a combination of the 3. And the first one I tell them is people ask for it, and people go, nah. And I'm going, you're hearing right here that people do, but most people that aren't involved in this subject, they just can't believe that somebody would ask for that. But they really do,
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, it goes back to, the story of you have to invite a vampire in. It's very similar. These familiar spirits all work in the same way, through invitation. And that's exactly how it works. And if you go back and investigate someone's past, there's always some sort of doorway they've done to open it up in some way, or some family history even that possibly was connected.
There you go. And that was number 3. The 3 that we found where you actually asked for it, you were dabbling unknowingly, into it. You didn't know that that these were things that God told you not to be part of. And then the third one was the family opened it for you, and I mean, you had that whole setup right there, coming from a background.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. Sorry. I was going to say it's
stopped.
Yeah. It blows my mind to have this whole thing come full circle. Obviously, how I came across meeting Joe, how you came across meeting Joe, how we brought Lee and Mick into this, and how I know of you through Nicholson and RFB, and I think I've obviously seen you on some other shows. How did you? Obviously, God's works in just. It's amazing how he did. It's all in his time, but I feel like the sands of time are shifting. I feel like there's a separation happening right now. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I feel like we're getting to a precipice of something really, I don't know, for the last, it's like all these channels that we watch, that we listen to, I've been doing this 10 years. I've been doing this 14 years. I've been doing this 12 years. I've been doing this 2 years. It really doesn't matter. I really feel like God is just kind of wrapping everybody up, and there's this wheat and tares. And it's like, I see this group of people like your ministry and our ministry and Nicholson's ministry and these other ministries that I talked about earlier, and I'm so thankful. I really can see him and his hands over this and how it's intertwined, and he's pushing us through. One of the narratives, or one of the things that's been in my mind this year, is just the words "press on." It's like every time I feel like I don't want to do something, it's my flesh is weak. And I've talked about this in the last couple of shows. He just does miraculous things, and he uses me. He uses us through his son, and it's not of us at all. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. I guess my question is, how did you come across Nicholson, RFB? I know you're working with Nicholson, right? Because if you go to Nicholson 1968's page, he's got you listed on there as far as some music videos and things like that. Tell us a little bit about when you first started doing the music, like grassroots style, and then how you came across, like here you and I are talking, and I've been watching you. I've been watching RFB for years and Nicholson for years, and now here we are. God's got his hand and he's moving things. Tell us a little bit about these connections, and how these connections came across your path.
So, I know a lot of musicians, their main goal is to get out there, go on tour, do lots of shows, and get on stage, where that's kind of like, I don't like doing live shows. I don't like performing. I don't like being the center of attention. That's never been my goal, or even to make money off this. I mean, that'd be nice if, I paid for my CDs that we got printed up or whatever, but it's never been my goal. I had a full-time business, and this was a part-time thing that I just did on the side, like a ministry that I was convicted to do. I would have loved to, do something more, but I felt that my idea, or the way I was called, was through this online presence. And I have done live shows, don't get me wrong, and I have performed and done all that. I just don't think it's necessarily my calling with the subjects that we talk about. Mm-hmm. You go to a live show and all these teenagers are just dancing around, and you're talking about the Nephilim and the fallen angels, and you're just going straight over their head,
A little much, yeah.
So I feel there is a way to do it, but you'd almost have to have like a video playing that's kind of describing or showing what we're talking about, or some sort of speaker presentation in between songs. I don't know, something more than just a rap concert. That's not what I've ever been about. So my whole goal was always to get in touch with the real researchers like Joe, the people that influenced me, the Chuck Misslers, Kent Oven, all the people out there that are really have done their homework, So I've really tried to get in touch with all these people that had channels, Gon Shimura, Gary Bates with creation.com, and Gary Bates was kind enough to do a big write-up on us on creation.com.
Awesome.
Early on, that got us a lot of exposure, and just basically reaching out to people, letting them know that I want to be a link in the chain to all these different ministries. My goal is to get those people out there who have a similar interest, like say in aliens, or say in the paranormal, or whatever it may be that I'm talking about in a song, and have that similar interest, and then get them, he's talking about the Bible, or the Nephilim, what's that? And then I've had so many people contact me wondering, where can I learn more about this? And I'll turn them on to Joe's work, and I've sent dozens and dozens and dozens of people links to the testimonies of CE4, explaining how important this is, the CE4 research group that you can rebuke these entities in the name and authority of Jesus. And this is proof, this is evidence. And it's the unwanted piece of the UFO puzzle that Joe coined there. And so my goal has always been to just be a link in the chain to the real researchers. And that's why I've reached out to basically everybody you can think of. I've at one point or another contacted or sent CDs to. And some of them have gotten back with me and want to work with me, and other people are, I understand.
Amen.
Really,
it's awesome.
Joe was kind enough to get back with me. So
he was me too. Praise God for that. No, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. You just said it. You're pressing on. You're pushing, and we're doing this for Christ, right? I mean, this is, The
other thing I forgot to bring up. Does that look familiar, Joe?
Oh yeah.
So you know, and being a sculptor, this is an alien that I sculpted years and years and years ago.
That was for the
And,
2008 conference.
Yeah, and Joe is looking for some original artwork, you know, for his conference, and I did a little just self taught Adobe Photoshop and things like that. So I threw together a flyer with him using that pictures of that alien. So
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'll share that with you guys later. That turned out unbelievable for our posters for that conference.
Good.
Hey, Ark, are you getting any feedback from your fans or people who have purchased your merchandise or listened to the music and enjoyed it and came back and said, hey, listen, you know what? I learned a lot from this. Not only is it really good music, but, you know, it taught me a thing or two. Have you gotten any feedback like that? Do you regularly get feedback like that? How's that look?
You know, I do. It's really amazing how much feedback we get. I mean, if you go to like our YouTube videos and just look at some of the comments people make, people talk about how it's like literally changed their lives or brought families together. Like, this is the only music that my grandpa lets me listen to because it talks about the truth. Or I got lots of people that are older, like in their 60s, 70s, that really like the music because they realize that it's talking about truthful things, and it's their kids can listen to it without them being worried. And so we do get a lot of people, and people that have literally changed their lives. We've got one video, if you look up on our channel, Christian versus Satanist rap battle. This guy was a self-appointed Satanist that challenged me to a rap battle. And at the end of it, he was on his knees asking for forgiveness. I mean,
hallelujah,
not
man.
there's anything that I did, but I mean, it's just an incredible story if you watch that journey. I mean, it's incredible
Actually,
what God can use.
I will put that link in this video. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
And probably you haven't been asked this one, but me being an investigator, and when I see things a little deeper than most people. A lot of people don't realize my background. I'm a safety professional that's what I do for a living. I can't walk into a 7-Eleven without finding everything that's wrong with the place, enough to where I want to walk out, before I get hurt. I can't turn it off. That's my life. So I see everything when I look at things, I just don't gloss over. So I've been to your site and I've looked at your pictures. So my question is, you got a tendency for steampunk?
Yeah. No, that's another thing that I do is I make steampunk robots, ray guns, metal junk art type stuff. Like here, I'll show you some. So there's a ray gun I made, that's full metal.
Wow.
Just all out of junk metal, different parts and pieces that just all pieced together. It actually used to light up, but I think the battery's dead on it. But this kind of stuff is what I make and sell, and
really,
and they're all one of a kind robots, and I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of these things I sell. I used to have an oddity shop, an antique and oddity shop, where they specialized in steampunk, and that's kind of what I sold, is all these ray guns, robots, masks, and
wow.
and
That's
all
so
these kind of things.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I got it. The reason I even brought that up is 2 years ago, the last time I was in Roswell with Guy Malone, we did a mini conference together, just him and I, and we did 3 talks, and they put us in a separate place that we hadn't been before. They had 2 venues going on in Roswell, and they're doing that now. They continued it. They had the UFO Festival in conjunction with Galacticon, okay? And we were put with Galacticon. Well, Galacticon was also where the steampunk convention was. So our table was mixed in the whole auditorium with all the steampunk people, and it was kind of like, this is weird, you know? So I got my first exposure to steampunk, and I thought, I love this, you know? And then I remembered seeing the stuff on your site, and I'm going, now I know what this stuff is. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
No,
I'm gonna have to get with you. I'd love to have an original from you. You know.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of different people into the different genres. I've always saw it more as like almost Star Warsy type stuff, because that's what I liked about Star Wars, is it was like futuristic, but everything was kind of grimy and run down and broken down, you know, like Mad Max type style. So I was into this stuff that I like that before I ever knew there was a genre called steampunk or diesel punk. I guess there's different genres of it.
Sure. I'm looking at maybe Guy and I have talked about if we're going to be involved in that area again, and we're stuck in that area again, may as well join them, you know, mixing our ministry with maybe bringing in a mix of the Borg from Star Trek and steampunk together, you know.
Well, you know, I used to have a business called Headhunter Studio, and it was basically a bunch of trophy heads. And one of them was this alien gray. That was one of my smaller ones, but they're all trophy heads mounted on the wall, like alien creatures that you hunted down and killed. And they all came with the background of their story and habitat. And I would go to these conventions and I would witness to people. I would say, you know, God is my inspiration. He's the creator. And that's where we get all these ideas, is through the creation. We look at bugs, insects,
sure,
animals, bones, all these things. And those are our inspiration to create the creatures we make. And God's the greatest creature creator there is.
Yep.
And people just be like,
Amen.
okay, yeah. So it was pretty fun.
Hey, when you showed me that ray gun, it reminded me of a band I used to listen to years ago. And your whole getup, your logos, your artwork, your sculpting, it reminds me of a band called, this is their name. They do instrumental, like surf, kind of edgy. It's kind of surfish, but it's heavier than that. And they're called Man or Astro Man with a question mark. Check them out, Ark. You'll find these guys fascinating. Just cool. when you pulled that gun out, I was like, "Are you kidding me? I got to look those guys up again." Man or Astro Man, amazing band. You'd like them. Probably do some samples with those things.
I've got a question. Where can people get your CDs, and what sort of merchandise do you have? Because I see you've got the hat there. Do you have all other types of merchandise as well?
Yeah, we do. At destinylab.com, you can get all of our music. We've got 4 CDs and then another 5th album, which is a digital album, available as well. So we've got all that available at destinylab.com, as well as all kinds of merchandise, hats, shirts, mugs, stickers, all kinds of things like that, hoodies, things like that.
Beautiful.
And then we have links to our podcast, Digging for the Truth with Ark and Neo, as well as videos and our contact info. But yeah, our biggest thing is probably been YouTube videos, is where we've met a lot of people. And like I said, Nicholson 1968, Richie from Boston, and many, many more people I've reached out to and just told them, hey, I love your stuff. You're welcome to use my music for an intro, or if you want me to make something. I've made intros for people's podcasts, different things like that, just to help them out. And because that's the whole thing, is I feel like it's all a big team effort, you know, and like you were saying earlier, is how we're all kind of called at the same moment. I absolutely believe that. It's, like I said, Destiny Lab. It's all destiny for all these things to come together in God's timing. And we're like the fringe Christian watchman on the wall, basically trying to get people to wake up to to all the pieces of the puzzle so they can see clearly what's going on.
I'd love to get us all on one big Zoom and utilize this technology for the kingdom. Get 30, 40, 50 of us, and let's start doing, you know, I know we're going to work on something once a month, like a live stream, you know, Canary Cry Radio with Gons and Basil. But I think it would be really cool if we could somehow get us all together We could
That'd be
have a
amazing.
chat. We could have people call in or comment in and things like that. Would be really cool.
Yeah, we could even do VR helmets. We could do virtual reality. And then you're like walking around actually talking with people and augmented reality.
Nice.
Use the devil's tools against him, right?
Exactly.
What's the old Police song? Walking on the moon. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, talking about songs, I tell you, I do a lot of mischief on the social media sites. It's just the way I am. But one of your songs that I post that gives people shock and awe, the one that hits them the most, I guess, is Order Out of Chaos.
Yeah.
With the video that goes with that.
Yeah.
Oh my, does that get people's attention? Oh yeah.
That's quite current in the day.
Yeah,
and age we're in.
it is. Oh, they don't even know how to respond to that. That is just so in your face.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's what we're hoping people is they'll wake up. And some people kind of need that slap to the face to see, what's going on. And we're seeing the Hegelian dialectic, the problem, reaction, solution, just so clearly, where they're trying to just, create this order out of chaos. That's what they want. They want to create this chaos. They want to create the divide, and then divide within the divide,
I've got no strings, they're gonna be holding me down. Nobody controlling me now. Can somebody turn up the sound? I gotta be loud to be clear, to properly fight the puppeteers. Lyrical bombardier, verbally at the tip of the spear. I wanna make sure it's loud. They better be speakers that pound. For rocking and shaking the ground, we're praying a loss will be found. Some people keep buying these schemes, had one too many vaccines. We're gonna expose the machine, help others cut off the strings. They're making problems to solve that never were issues at all. Hegelian dialectic rhetoric is their protocol. Redefining right and wrong, they wanna string you along. People are followers like sheeple through the Pied Piper song. They're undermining what's real and they're dividing ideals. We're on the battlefield, so grab your sword and your shield. It's time we all take a stand and start to make some demands. Begin examining the masterminds, exposing their plans. They want you to do as you're told, identical clones in the fold. Systematically controlled to keep you mentally dull. They wanna control how you think, they want you blind and hoodwinked. To take you diametrically opposing sides to the brink. We're at the edge of our seats in confrontational teams. Disinformation that persuades us when we really want peace. They wanna control the two sides and then create a divide. While behind the scenes they're robbing every one of us blind. First they cause a panic, blowing up some problem. Next they get dramatic, creating a reaction. Then they get fanatics, pushing government solutions. Order out of chaos, controlling the confusion. First they cause a panic, blowing up some problem. Next they get dramatic, creating a reaction. Then they get fanatics, pushing government solutions. Order out of chaos, controlling the confusion. Black versus white, they want the streets against gays. They want girls against guys, divide the red and blue states. They're covering up the real battle and the war going on. The principalities behind it all, they string them along. Legions of demons patrol, possessing so many souls. The masterminds of puppeteers, the ones behind the control. You better get in a fence, you can't just sit on the fence. Decide right now what side you're on and let the battle commence. Cause there's a line in the sand, and yes, the time is at hand. You can't stand between the canyon of the goat and the lamb. We've all been given free will to take the red and blue pill, to choose the path that we will take, decide what's actually real. Recognize the divide so you can see through the lies. It takes the time to think about where you'll end up when you die. Is that a question you ask? Is that an answer you know? Are you prepared to take your chances? Are you ready to go? So check your person right now, see who's controlling your strings. Are you a puppet like Pinocchio led by the machine? Have you bought into their plans and given in to demands? A planet branded by their evil landed right in their hands. And their agenda is clear, the earth will soon disappear unless we form a one-world government to mitigate fear. The evil tactics that are meant to leave you panicked and scared, so they can sell you what they made before the problem appeared.